Good morning. Good morning. I'm waiting on everything. Oh, there we go. Here we go. The go live buttons. They do not populate immediately, so I have to wait a second. So as you get here, make sure that you say hello and let me know that you are here so you can join in the conversation with me. All right. Now let me pull this up on my phone really quick. I do not populate immediately. All right. All right. So we are set. Good Sunday morning. Good Sunday morning. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't follow all this stuff with the stars and everything. But the interesting thing was I saw a post the other day that someone was sharing that that yesterday, Saturday, was a time when all these planets were lining up, which was very rare for this to happen. I can't remember all the particulars. But anyway, and in this post, she talked about that there's some of the planets that were lined up that you'd have to have a telescope to see, but that a lot of them were lined up and you could see them with the naked eye. Well, I didn't really think that much about that. I thought it was really cool to think about, but I took the dog for a late night walk last night. So he really needed to go out about 11 o'clock. And so I went ahead and took him out. And as I was walking, I thought, God, the sky is so bright. And then I looked and then I could see those planets and I could see some constellations. And it was like such a gorgeous thing that when I got back in, and I kept stopping and just staring at the sky because it was so beautiful. And if I hadn't seen that post, I probably wouldn't have realized that it was the planets that I was seeing. I don't know what I would have thought. But then I came in and I asked my daughter, have you looked at the sky? And she said, no, why? So I was telling her. So I don't know if she went out and looked or not, but I'm curious if you went out last night at any time and looked at the sky and you could see all those planets. It just, for some reason, it just made me feel this connection to Earth and the world and the universe. In such a different way. I just thought it was so cool that they were close enough and lined up in a way that we could see them with the naked eye. I mean, OMG, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our our affirmation and journal prompt. Give me a quick second here. And this comes a little bit because I, sorry, let me take a sip of my coffee. I've been showing you a little note that I took, writing little ideas that I had one particular morning. A whole bunch of ideas or thoughts came to me about creating affirmations and journal prompts on these thoughts, on these topics, right? And it's interesting that yesterday was the day that Sue and I did the Rewrite Your Money story. We had a little gathering party, whatever you want to call it. And it was so good. And we had a few people show up, but more people wanted to come. But the thing that was put out actually had the wrong time on it. And so a lot of people didn't make it. And so they wanted to get the replay. I'm going to be sharing the replay in the group here for everyone, but we're going to be doing it again. And so keep watch. I'm going to create an event for it in the group, but it is on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be covering some different things about our money story and our money legacy and what all of that means, and some little tips and tricks of what you can do to kind of help with that. So if anybody is in a place where they don't know what their limiting beliefs are on money, but there's a lot of evidence showing up of it, there's not enough, or you can't get past that ceiling of wherever you are, then you definitely want to be there. Actually, one of the processes that I took people through last night, I had them looking at, what was the most that they had ever charged someone, or they had anyone, the most someone had paid to get their services. And then I had them add a 0 to it. And one of the participants, that didn't bring up anything for her. That just felt really good. And I said, well, obviously you've got a block that we might, and we need to stretch it a little bit. So I had her add another 0. And when she did, suddenly she was feeling all the angst and everything that some of the people were feeling with just 1. And so, no matter where you are in your world and your financial abundance that you have, there's still a limiting belief somewhere that is keeping you where you're at. And so it's a lot about that. And so as soon as I get all that out, I will make sure that I invite all of you, and you can join us. But it was amazing. So this is our affirmation for today. My river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. Now, I would love to know how that feels for you. Some people that may feel like bullshit. Some people it may feel like I would like that, but that's not what it is right now. That sounds like a good idea, but that's not me. Some people may say, well, this is absolutely true. I am aware of this every single day and I embrace it. So where are you in that, in those feelings? What feelings come up for you when I say this affirmation? My river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. So I can say there was a time in my life that I would have really, really been, no, that's not true. And there are times that I will still, as I say this, that I may have this little fleeting thought of, would be nice, right? And so wherever you are in your journey, there's times that these things will still pop up. And so it's great that we're doing this because it gives you the evidence or the indicator of maybe there's something more to work on. And there are triggers that we get all the time. I mean, let me just share one real quick. And this has nothing to do with money. It has to do with a memory, right? A memory that's not so good. And this morning I was walking through the house and I had on my bedroom slippers. And one of the things when I'm walking with these bedroom slippers, sometimes it's like I don't know, it makes a sound on the floor. And then other times when I'm aware of it and I'm lifting my feet more, there's no sound, right? I don't know if that makes any sense. But my daughters even pointed out, Mom, don't do that. It sounds like you're shuffling your feet. And I don't know. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is this morning I could hear my sound on the floor, right? And all of a sudden it took me back to a place many, many, many years ago when I was married to my first husband. I was 8 months pregnant and we had he was in a band and did construction. And this is probably more information than you want, but I'm just going to tell you how things trigger you. Okay. So anyway, we had one of his band members' girlfriend needed a place to stay. So she moved in with us temporarily while she was trying to get things situated. And so she had one of our extra bedrooms. So this particular morning, I got up and I was going to go tell my husband before he left for work that I loved him and, and just go say something. And because I had been in the bed and I knew he was probably getting ready to leave. So I get up and normally I would have that shuffling sound and you could hear me coming down the halls. You can kind of hear where this is going, right? And I round the corner and I walk into the kitchen and there they are in this really, really intimate embrace. which I was 8 months pregnant, remember? And so it was very devastating. I might have been more 7 months pregnant at that point. I don't know. But anyway, they broke apart, looked guilty as hell, and then my husband started telling me how it's not what it looks like. And I turned around and walked back to the bedroom, and he comes back there and he's explaining to me how it's because I'm pregnant and all the hormones that it feels that way. Well, I listened to all that stuff, right? Because I didn't want it to be true. But the thing is that when I was walking in this morning, the sound of my house shoes, my slippers hitting the carpet, all of a sudden brought that memory back, right? And it's not a memory that I want to even think about, it went to hell in a handbasket after that, right? We split up when I was 8 months pregnant. So I might have been 7 or 6 months. I don't know. But when I was 8 months pregnant, we split. Not a good memory, not a good time in my life. I mean, the best thing that ever happened to me as I got past it. But in the moment, it felt devastating. But there are things that I'm bringing this up because a lot of times we get triggered with something that has nothing to do with what's going on in our world right now, right? But something triggers an emotion or emotional response. And so when I say my river of abundance never runs dry, that can create an emotional response to something you've had in your life and make you feel a certain way. Just like when I was sharing that the woman on the call last night, when I had her add that extra zero on there, suddenly she was feeling all this anxiety and stuff that she didn't feel before. And so when we notice something like that happen, that's a beautiful place to be so that we understand how we need to proceed from there. What is it that we need to do, right? How can we move forward and begin to feel like our river of abundance never runs dry? So what comes up for you, right? I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. Do you feel like you have an endless flow of blessings? If you don't, then it's time to start feeling that way, right? Our call yesterday was a lot about uncovering those limiting beliefs that we have about money and the things that we do with those limiting beliefs and how we sabotage without even knowing. And so the thing is that experience that I had with my first husband, it filtered into a lot of areas of my life, right? Feeling ugly, feeling tossed away. All the feelings that I had don't stay in that one little box. They move around into other parts of your life if you don't get them under control and replace them with something better. And so maybe you're having problem with a relationship and then suddenly you realize that these other things are happening. So we focus on one at a time. And right now we're focusing on our finances today, right? Our river of abundance, but abundance is not just money either, right? Abundance can be abundance of love, abundance of connection, an abundance of connection with God, abundance of what, right? So my river of abundance never runs dry. So if you're feeling like the money thing's not there, look at the other stuff. Is there an abundance of things there? And then maybe you just need to tweak something to get the abundance of finances to be better. There are so many different areas of our life. And one of the things I shared with everybody last night is the wheel of abundance, where we can actually look at our wheel that has all the different areas and we can see where we need to put our attention, to focus just a little bit more, right? Because what we think about, we bring about, but putting our head in the sand and ignoring things doesn't fix anything either. Been there, done that, right? There have been so many times that I did that. Like I was just talking about that thing that happened with my first husband, right? Well, what did I do? I just accepted what he said and went on about my business and pretended that all the little indicators that he was giving me weren't true because I didn't want to face it. And so I didn't. Now, that didn't just happen there, that happened with the finances too, because all of a sudden I realized there's all these things going on in the finances. I didn't want to look at them either. So I put my head in the sand, right? And so we tend to do that a lot of times. We don't want to face something that's going on. And so we bury it and we put on a happy face and we go on. But it's time to step into our abundant nature and start recognizing all the abundant things we have, and then uncovering some of these limiting beliefs and maybe some of the actions that we are doing because of our limiting beliefs that is perpetuating the situation, right? One of the things that I did recently to help myself with my mental chatter is that at one point I did some investing and everything, but then I stopped because I thought, oh, that just feels a little kind of outside of my comfort zone. It feels like I worked too hard for my money, right? And that was one of my limiting beliefs, that you have to work so hard for your money. And if you don't deserve it. So you probably have limiting beliefs like that too, or something similar. I gave everybody yesterday a list of the top 8 limiting beliefs that people have. And there were, some people that had up to 5. I think the most one was 5 of those 8. So you might have them and they're playing in the background and they're creating the thoughts, the actions, all the things that you're doing come from those beliefs. And so let's kind of start with this one and let's work on creating this river of abundance, knowing and trusting that it never runs dry. And doesn't it feel good to think this I am statement, which is an I am statement, is claiming this to be true. And when you say an I am statement, regardless of what it follows it, your subconscious mind is going through its data banks to make sure that that is accurate, or it's looking for evidence all the time to make that true. So be more mindful of your I am statements. So this is a powerful one. I love this one. I am me, the me that I am, constantly renewed, replenished, yes, and supported, oh, even better, by the endless flow of blessings in my life. Now, how amazing does that feel? How amazing does that sound? So just kind of allow this one to percolate a little bit today. My river of abundance never runs dry. So for today, no matter what's happening, if you are sitting in a place where you've got bills out the wazoo and no money to pay them, no matter what's going on, if you're at the place where you've got almost enough to pay the bills, but not quite enough, no matter what the situation, maybe you've got plenty of money to pay your bills, but you can't go on your vacation. Maybe you've got plenty to pay on your bills and you can go on a 1 week or a 2 week vacation and you'd really love to do 30 days. So wherever you are in this whole scope of things, today, just imagine that your river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. And just for today, do it longer if you would like. It would benefit you, right? For today, just every single time that one of those nagging thoughts that pops up, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could go for 30 days to wherever it is we're going instead of being a tourist for a week? Then just think, my river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. If that's what I really, really desire, let it flow. And if you're sitting there and you're not able to pay your bills, and that thought enters your mind, say to yourself, my river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. And the thing is, when you first say those statements, it's going to feel like that's not accurate, right? And that's okay. You can even change it to where you're saying, my river of abundance is beginning to never run dry. I am constantly renewed. I'm beginning to know that I'm constantly renewed. However you need to rephrase it. But the thing is, every time those little thoughts pop in your head today, and I remind myself of this all the time. There are times that something pops in my mind that is very not supporting for my financial abundance. And as soon as it does, I remind myself, it's all there. The abundance is right there under our feet. It is here in my hands. It's all around me. I just have to be open and allowing. So wherever you are, make sure you're using this. Put it on your index card, the screensaver on your phone, put it on your sticky notes, put it somewhere that today you are reminded. This is two powerful statements. My river of abundance never runs dry. And remember, that's abundance in all areas of your life, right? All areas of your life. And then your I am statement. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. And feel it. Give it some emotion. Say it out loud. All right, now I'm going to go for the journal prompt. Let me take this off just in case it's too long. We'll see. Oh, beautiful. All right, our journal prompt for today is reflect on the infinite flow of abundance in your life. What are the sources that continuously replenish and support you? And how can you embrace them even more fully? So, what are the infinite flow of abundances in your life? Now, remember, it's not always money, right? But you can count money. And like Sue shared yesterday, she's doing a challenge right now to where she decided how much money she wanted to make for the month, that her goal of what she wanted to appear and flow into her life, right? And so she's not just writing down, somebody gave me this money, somebody paid me this or whatever. She's also doing it to where, like, she went out to eat and they ordered a medium salad. They got a large salad. Her husband was happy with that, but the difference in the price, she wrote down that amount. And they were about to have to buy a bunch of wood chips, but come to find out there was a place in the area that was looking for a place to dump wood chips. Who knew, right? So they got those wood chips for free. So she wrote down the amount they would have had to pay for those wood chips. And so it's not just the things that you are given financially, money that exchanges hands. It's what did you gain and how much would that have been, right? So let's say, for instance, you are wanting to sign up to do an amazing program, right? And for some reason, you're given this huge discount or you're gifted it for free. And you write that amount down too, because that's something you would have paid out. And that is actually an abundance thing that is coming to you, right? Let's say you were out somewhere and you filled out a little form, and you got a rebate, and that you count that too. So that's all the money things, right? But maybe it's about relationships, and you discover somebody introduces you to someone that it becomes a friend. That's an abundance thing too, right? There are so many things that go on in our world and our lives that we don't even acknowledge. And so I want you to start looking at the abundance in your life, what the flow is, in a whole different way, and start logging it down. And just for a day, or maybe give yourself more. I mean, Sue's doing it. I think she's doing it for 30 days. So maybe do it for 30 days and see how much money shows up in your world, how much abundance shows up in your world that you don't even normally recognize. So I would love for you to play with it. Reflect. What are the sources that continuously replenish and support you? So what is that for you? Is that groups like this? Is it a certain person? Is it something that you do, whether it's like a physical activity? What is it? What sources are continuously replenishing and supporting you? Maybe it's your faith in God. So whatever it is, notice it, write it down. And then how can you just embrace those things even more fully? Spending some time in deep, deep gratitude, right? One of the sources that continuously replenishes and supports you, whether you feel it or know it or not, is your body, your mind, your abilities, your gifts, your talents. That continuously replenishes and supports you. But we don't even, most of the time, most of us do not even recognize that. Start making a note of it. Because remember, what we notice, what we're paying attention to, what we're looking for, that's what creates our world, right? What we believe about things. So like Sue's example, you decide to start writing down all the monetary things that are showing up in your world. Since you're looking for it, there's more of those things that will show up. Now, some people can say, well, they would have shown up anyway, but I beg to differ. They might have been right around out there somewhere, but you didn't even notice them. You didn't recognize them. Recognizing them so that more flows, that's beautiful. And what I do when I notice those things, and I'm not perfect, I don't always notice. I sometimes reflect back and notice. That's what's good about these reflections, right? Is I will thank God for the abundance that I have. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice, right? So I wish you to have a flow of abundance in your life today, and play with it a little bit. See what shows up. Now I'm going to go back to the affirmation one more time. And remember, our affirmation is my river of abundance never runs dry. Not sometimes, not, occasionally. It never runs dry. There's always something there for us to pick from, to choose from, that's coming and wants us to use it, right? Just remember, my river of abundance never runs dry. I am constantly renewed, replenished, and supported by the endless flow of blessings in my life. And then our journal prompt. And as I say all the time, get out your notebook, your journal, put the date, the affirmation in the journal prompt, and then spend some time, 10 to 15 minutes in complete silence. Silence doesn't mean that your mind's not wandering. It means that you're not putting anything in your ears. You're not doing anything like that. You are sitting in your space and you're just listening to your breath. And as you notice that your mind is bonkers and going all over the place, you just kind of bring it back to your breath so that you can get into this inner voice, this inner guidance, your God voice, because it's talking to you all the time. Most of the time, we cannot hear it for all the chatter that's going on within us. So write down the date, the affirmation, and the journal prompt. And then as you go into this space of silence and you set a timer, just listening and focusing on your breath, then when the timer goes off, you just brain dump. So there's a connection between what's going on in here and here and here in your hand. So when you start writing, it flows through you so that things that you would not have thought of otherwise, because you spent that time in silence and connected with your God voice, your inner guidance, more things will show up. So just reflect on the infinite flow of abundance in your life. Where is it? Do you see it? Do you recognize it? Do you write about it? And then what are the sources that continuously replenish and support you? And how can you embrace them even more fully? So there are so many things that show up that we don't even acknowledge and recognize. And so this is your opportunity to just let it flow out of you, and you can connect with it even more. And then after you've filled all of this out, then you look back at it and just see what came up so that you can start recognizing it even more abundantly, right? And so my challenge for you is like Sue's challenge, is to start noticing all the things that you take for granted financially. Let's just focus on the finances for right now, right? Just in support of the fact that Sue and I just did that thing, right? The Rewrite Your Money story, and we got another one coming up. The thing is her challenge, like I said before, was for 30 days. I think it's 30 days. So I'll tell you, do it for 30 days. Start noticing every time something, you get a discount on something, write it down. You get a rebate on something, write it down. Something happens where you find some money on the ground. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or if it's $10 or $100, you write it down. And what you're going to start noticing it, the more you start logging how much you're getting as far as just in those kinds of ways, you're going to be blown away. And so like one of the examples I just gave is that Sue and her husband were about to buy a bunch of wood chips for an area that they're trying to work on in their retreat center that they're creating. And they found out that there was a company that I think it was a tree company that has all these wood chips that they've got, but they got to have some place to dump them, right? And they had to pay a lot of money to dump them at a certain place. And so Sue and her husband offered, you can dump all you want right here for free. And so they were able to log in on their little thing, all of the wood chips that they would have gotten, each and every load, how much it would have cost them. And they got it for free. It helped them and it helped the other guy too, right? And so there are so many things like that that happen, right? And so start noticing. So I think if I'm remembering right, the way she was doing this was she wrote down a number of how much money she wanted to flow into her life for the month. And then she started keeping track from there. And so do that. How much money do you want to flow into your world, into your life? and then start writing down everything that shows up. Not always, I mean, write down what you're getting from your job or from your clients and that kind of stuff. What are you getting paid? But also look at all the other places that money is not coming from you because of some kind of special, right? So start writing it down and you will be shocked at the end of the month how much money has passed around you and filtered through your world that you're not even aware of. And the more we notice those things, the more flow we will have. And so, have an amazing day, have an abundant day. And I would love to know how all of this works for you. And I will. See you tomorrow. Oh, I almost forgot. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, is our affirmation and journal prompt. But this time, this is a conversation with Jamie B. And it's all about connection with who you are and your story. And she helps people write their stories and get their stories out. So definitely look in the events section and sign up to be there because it is going to be amazing. She is so fun to talk to. And I love her speech, the way she talks. It is so eloquent and see, I can't even think of the words, but she does amazing. And I can't wait to have this conversation with her, with you guys. She's going to pour into you. So please come and be there and interact with her. It's going to be glorious. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. And so I will be sharing it will be live in the group. And there's also a Zoom link so you can get on the Zoom with us. But however you are there, that is perfect. And if you end up having to watch the replay, it will be there. Just make sure that you put something in the comments and really support her for taking the time out of her day. All right. So an abundant day is ahead, I'm telling you, and I will see you tomorrow.